Today I taught 6 periods and subbed during my planning. I helped a young man find safe winter housing, a sweet girl secure a new winter jacket, replaced a student's missing backpack, arranged for a replacement Chromebook, made sure a student had food for this weekend, and gave another a little cash for a haircut. I listened to a lengthy story about a new puppy, sat with a girl crying from cramps, and supported a boy navigating his first heartbreak. I walked a new student to her class, saved an art project with some super glue, and wrote a card to a student I suspected is struggling right now. After that, I went to a meeting, tutored a student, and tried to finish a college letter of recommendation that a student asked me for today and needs by tomorrow. In all, I spent 10 hours working at home and 4 more at home trying to plan fun, inviting lessons. I don't want a single accolade. I don't tell you this for gratitude. I don't want your pats on the back. I want you to know that in your child's school, 30 to 50 teachers and school support staff did this today, and we will do it again tomorrow. It's what we signed up for. It's what we love. It's the reason we feel fulfilled, and it's also why we're tired. I would encourage you to recognize that even if you believe teachers and staff aren't working, that we haven't worked the hardest in the last few years. Nobody in the history of ever has been motivated by ugly words. Loving kids is the purest form of beauty there is, and it will outweigh your ugly all day. This was written and posted widely on Facebook by a teacher in Ohio. Loving will outweigh ugly all day. Paul and Jesus would agree. Paul has seen how ugly breaks apart the faith community in Corinth, and ugly makes Jesus pass through the midst of us and go on his way. Similar words to those of that teachers are echoed by nurses, clerks, counselors, cleaners, business leaders, contractors, and cooks. Recently, a medical appointment schedule thanked me because I said I understood why it was taking her so long to find an appointment for me. And I think I heard her cry as she said thank you. Then she cleared her throat and said she would be in touch. Friends, we are all tired. So tired of rethinking safe practices for worship every week. So tired that the littlest change brings anxiety. Students at Chatham Hall are struggling to feel safe, even though the school has gone above and beyond to create safe spaces, and they were sort of in a semi-bubble. We are so tired that we are gathering at borders, be they national borders or institutional borders. We are ready to fight. We are so tired that we pit schools and healthcare agencies against each other, boards and policymakers, community and self against each other. We are tired. And sometimes I think that in a Christian nation, it's as if Jesus is not here at all. Which I think is how the people of Nazareth must have felt when Jesus spoke to their imagined circles surrounding God's people. God is here, not there. Not in Sidon, where the cult of Baal was strong, and not in Syria, who was often their enemy. In Corinthians, the words, "Strive for the greater gifts, and I will show you a still more excellent way," are bridge words between his passage, "One body, many members," and the familiar love passage of many weddings. Love is the more excellent way. The crowd didn't like the more excellent way that Jesus was preaching. They didn't want to hear Jesus that he was expanding the idea of who God's people might include. But that's what Jesus did. That was his more excellent way. And we often rage against it. Now, love is the more excellent way could also be translated, love is beyond measuring. And that's Paul's point. Love is beyond measurement. They love to argue in Corinth over the evangelists. I am for Apollos, I am for Paul. They love to argue over social classes, turning their community table into a seating pecking order. And they love to argue over spiritual gifts. Today, we would give that church a reality show. Love is the way of the people of God, but we often love issues more than people. You know that word, those words, tough love? It's not really a harsh way of treating another to help themselves, because loving any other is tough. Yet to follow God is to follow God's way of love, and this is not an easy journey. But it is our journey. Ours is a journey to inhabit God's loving nature, not to become our best self or the best society from our own viewpoints. Paul is reminding us that love is broad and it is foundational to our faith. Love is God. It is that nature we are to take on. You know, in English, we lose the active nature of Paul's Greek. Instead of love is, maybe we should hear it as love does. Love isn't patience. Love does patience. Love isn't kindness, but love does kindness. Love, like God, is an active response to another. Merciful, grace-filled, forgiving, and there is an eternalness there too. There can be no competitive or self-serving ways when we emulate God's love. But it is so hard to do. Ask my friends and family how I often fail. Paul challenges us to see differently, as Jesus challenged his hometown church. Love doesn't end, is more than the eternalness of God love. It's an active love, ongoing with each breath I take in and breathe out. A love that embraces the space between us. A community that lives this way inhabits love by putting that love to work in joy and in sadness, in agreement and in disagreement, in conflict and in harmony. For we will never be perfect. To fully take on Paul's image of being one body isn't to make us uniform, but united in the expression of God's love. My friends, especially in this day, but I think in every age, love is the more excellent way. God's love is beyond measuring. Imagine a world where the body of Christ has learned to live the way of God's love. The way where Jesus is in the midst of us, not just passing through our hearts. And so, again, I preach, let this church make love its aim. But where shall we bring a love that Jesus and Paul preached? Where shall you bring it? Well, tell us. Tell us your story. Tell us where you see a need for love, and then let's get to work. In doing so, we will discover the more excellent way that Jesus and Paul preached. Amen.